Hi, and welcome to Across the Desk. Well, that Republican Kook and Clown show just keeps on giving. Because just last Tuesday, we had a Representative Sean Roberts go to the State Election Board Secretary and demand a forensic and independent audit to be done on the 2020 election here in Oklahoma. Yes, the one where Trump won probably at least 70% of the vote. He thinks we need a recount on that. We need to spend a lot of money to do a recount on that. That's this week on Across the Desk. So, I don't know if you noticed, but last week on Tuesday, Representative Sean Roberts requested to have an investigative audit done on our election where, pretty much 70% went for Trump. It is a big waste of money and time, but Representative Sean Roberts doesn't care about that. That's obviously not what he cares about. He says that he cares about the integrity of the vote and that I just want my constituents to know that our thing is safe and they can vote. Well, we do. There's no studies done. There has been not any statistical anything been mentioned or have been done anything with to say, hey, do we feel that the voting system here in Oklahoma is subject to fraud and abuse? Pretty much everybody, both sides of the aisle, everywhere says, Oklahoma has some of the safest elections around. And we do. Everybody says that. Except for Sean Roberts, who wants to do an independent audit of one county in particular, Oklahoma County. That's the only one that is the static county that he wants to target. Oklahoma County needs to be audited along with two other counties at random. So that's what he wants to do. And of course, he wants to target Oklahoma County because, well, it's the bluest. It definitely is. In Oklahoma, it's the bluest county. Definitely is. So that makes sense that a conservative, divisive guy like Sean Roberts would want to target that county for an audit and go after the election people that are involved in the county election board here in Oklahoma County. Yeah, he wants to go after those people because, hey, a lot of Democrats vote in this county. He kind of wants to squash that because he doesn't believe Democrats should be voting. And that's pretty much what Sean Roberts believes. He's really a crazy guy. I mean, this is the guy of the fame. We did a show a couple of seasons ago on his anti-vaxxer ways. He actually invited two anti-vaxxers, two really out there crazy guys, to give reports on the floor of the House on conditions of medical and everything else that they're really not even qualified to give. So this is the kind of kook and clown show that we get with Representative Sean Roberts. So basically, this whole thing is not about integrity of our elections. No, somehow it's about getting Sean Roberts' attention. Somehow it's about giving him attention for something. And I'm not really clear why. I'm thinking it's for something future for this guy because he's term limited to 2022. So after 2022 session, he's done. He can't even run again for the House of Representatives. Now he may be able to run for other offices later, and maybe that's his deal. He wants to, kind of bolster up his profile and go at it that way so that later on he'll have this to fall back on. And you know what? Hey, he can use the Oklahoma taxpayers to foot the bill. And that's the kind of ugliness and the kind of thinking we get from Representative Sean Roberts. And it goes far, and this just falls right in line with those conservative values we all like to talk about. It really is. How he loves, you know how Republicans are. Even today, they're talking about it right now on the national scale. They're talking about all this spending. Oh my God, we're doing all this spending. Because, in the last 4 years, they really spent a lot of money and didn't pay for it. So they're worried about all this spending now. But, they weren't worried about it before. And as a matter of fact, you heard them say, deficits don't matter as long as they're in power. So, but they do when they're not. When they're not in power, they matter. Because that's just how conservatives are. They like to dish it, but there's just no way they're going to have the courage to take what they like to dish. It's just not in a conservative soul to be that way. So this is what you get. You get things like Representative Sean Roberts wanting to do a forensic audit in 3 counties in Oklahoma, where Oklahoma went overwhelmingly 70% for Donald Trump. Yeah, he wants to audit that. He thinks we should have a big old recount and do everything else. And come to find out, reading all this stuff that I was looking into on Sean Roberts, he's a little disappointed. You see, because in Oklahoma, our laws, our laws are set up, and the way we have it, you can't do an outside independent audit. It's illegal. You can't do it here in Oklahoma. There's certain steps you got to go through. Well, this makes Sean Roberts sad. So he's vowed to do the first piece of legislation he brings out in 2022 to revamp the Oklahoma audit process when it comes to our elections. I'm not sure what bill number or anything else it is, but I'm going to keep an eye on this. And we'll do a show on it next season, probably right off the bat, because you know there's going to be a bunch of crazy bills they start pulling out in the middle of January when we start this season, come season 5. So we'll do a big show on it, because, you know, he wants to make a big show of it. So let's give him one. He likes to be a clown and a kook, and so let's spotlight that. Let's spotlight the kooky and clowniness that is Sean Roberts. Hey, you know, it's carnival. Let's get it going on. So right here, Mr. Sean Roberts wants to waste a bunch of taxpayer money on a frivolous audit. Why? Why does he want to do this? I mean, the only thing I could think of is because he's just trying to, you know, get himself some of that base attention and love for his own personal political gain. And he wants to use our taxpayer dollars to do that with. So here we are. We have this guy going to our election people at the state and saying, do an audit. Well, you know what? To the election board's credit, and these are Republicans, mind you, they told him pretty much to go pound sand. You're crazy. That's pretty much what they told him. Not going to happen. We're not going to take it seriously. They're not going to do it. One, yeah, like they said, there's really no legal provision for them to do an audit. It's up to the counties alone. And the counties do the counting themselves. That's how it is in Oklahoma. And our elections are really safe, and we know that. But see, Sean Roberts doesn't. Because what Sean Roberts wants to do, and what Sean Roberts is scared of, because that's what it comes down to. Sean Roberts is scared. He's afraid. And he's afraid of places like Georgia and Pennsylvania and Arizona, where he says that, and I'm going to say there's clear signs of election fraud. No, there isn't any clear signs of election fraud. Cyber ninjas, they're not even certified to do audits. They're not even cleared by any Republican in that state except for the head of the Senate. She's the only one backing these guys. Everybody else thinks that it's a big eyesore. It's a big headache. It doesn't make them look good at all. It makes them look like kooks. And they're saying this. You know what? You know what? They're even saying this about Sean Roberts. The guy, the head of the state election board, the secretary, this guy, even said, hey, this is a crazy idea. It's a waste of taxpayer money. And he's a Republican. They think it's crazy. Nobody's taking this seriously. It's way out there. Now, the only thing that really gets me is he wants to put up a bill in 2022 to allow for easier done audits in Oklahoma. So that way, if a Democrat does win, well, they can challenge that, because that's what that's all about. And it really doesn't matter if the Democrat won legitimately, because that's not what it's about. See, because people like Sean Roberts are in the view and thinking of people like James Lankford and Mo Brooks, that they have the divine right that's ordained by God to lead this nation, to control its destiny. Not for any Democrat or liberal. That doesn't say that. As a matter of fact, God says they're not to. And that's what they believe. You know, and you'll hear him say it. This is God's law. He rules for them. For Sean Roberts, God's law rules over the Constitution. So, if we have to have Christian-y people in government and we have to do it through autocratic means, so be it. Sean Roberts is good with that. And that's pretty much what this is about. It's really an anti-democratic law. It's meant to stifle people from voting. And how it does it is it does exactly what Sean Roberts says he's trying to prevent. And that's the confidence people have in our elections. Because doing this kooky, clowny audit he wants to do isn't going to bring confidence into our elections. It's not what it's designed to do. It's designed to bring chaos into our elections, which is what Republicans are so good at doing, and especially lately, that they aren't in power. Not on a national level. So here we are. And you see it in the state levels, especially in the GOP. The red states, when now we have Democrats in the lead in national, well, what do? Here in the red states, they throw a tantrum. They throw a fit. They start building up their own little personal walls. You see it. You know, we're going to put in a deal where we can just not follow any executive order that Biden signs. Just Biden. That's what it says, by the way. Only Biden. We don't have to follow Biden. Because, you know, they feel he's a little legitimate. Not because he didn't really win, but because he wasn't supposed to win. Because he's not a conservative. He's not allowed to control the destiny of the United States of America. And that's truly how they feel. It's truly how they feel about all this. They hate democracy. We already know that. We talk about it all the time here on this show, how Republicans hate democracy. It's something they really hate. They hate your right to vote because that's democracy. Democracy is everybody gets a vote. We get a right. We get a say in what happens. What laws are passed. That's democracy. That's what Republicans hate. Because, see, if everybody votes, then they're not going to get their way. And that's just how it is. And they know that. So if we can limit who votes to just the people we want to vote, well, then we'll win every time. Of course we know that. It's a simple strategy. But it's not democratic. Hell, it's not even Republican. It's not even Republican. Exactly, it's not. They're against that too. So that's what we have with people like Representative Sean Roberts and his stance here that he wants to take on doing a forensic audit on Oklahoma's elections that went overwhelmingly for President Trump. It's a ridiculous move. It's totally outlandish. I don't even see it as good messaging. How he thinks it's good messaging is beyond me, especially when a majority of the Republicans in our state think that's just wasteful. It doesn't do anything. All it's going to do is help Sean Roberts. That's all that is. And that's really all it's designed to do. It's to help Sean Roberts. It's to give him a profile. Tell everybody how pro-Trumpy he is and how well he's willing to kiss his butt and eat his feces. He'd do it. You know he would. We're going to do a forensic audit and I'm going to look like a hero for a problem that doesn't even exist. It doesn't even exist. There's no problem here with voting. Not in Oklahoma. Not where we're a model state when it comes to elections. This is just nothing but a waste of time. And Sean Roberts, just being an icky person. Well, this is Across the Desk with Kit Fairchild. We'll see you next week.